Hey everybody, this is Mr. Storm, and today we're going to talk about the workplace. So, you finally found a job, right? And you show up for work on your first day, and you very quickly become overwhelmed with all the things you need to learn and need to know in order to do well at your job. Well, um, sometimes it feels like you're signing your life away when you start a new job. Um, this presentation is going to help you kind of navigate some of that stuff, right? So, the first step in learning how all these things work in a place of business is to find a guide, find a mentor, find somebody who knows what they're doing, right? Someone who's been there for a little while. Find someone you're comfortable talking to and going to for help. Um, this person can help you figure out how to clock in, how to file trouble tickets with the IT department, how to route documents up the management chain, how to work the coffee machine, whatever it is you need to learn. Find someone who can teach you, okay? Ask a ton of questions. A lot of new employees are really embarrassed when they first start. They don't know anybody and they're kind of shy and they don't want to make waves and they don't want to get in anyone's way. Ignore that. Get rid of that feeling, right? Dive in to the workplace. Start asking questions. Gather as much information as you can. Start building relationships with people. Shake hands, greet people, ask questions. Um, make an impression on these people that you are there, you're willing to work, you're happy, you're learning everything you possibly can. No one wants to be around an employee who's shy and who doesn't say much and who's just kind of not trying to cause trouble, right? That's someone who needs to be coached and you know convinced to do anything because they're afraid of messing up. You want to be in there and kind of mixing it up with people and really trying to get your personality out there. So the first thing you need to be concerned with is workplace safety, right? Not all workplaces are cushy environments, with cubicles and water coolers and nice chairs and ergonomic keyboards and all that stuff. Some workplaces are going to be dangerous, right? If you're working with equipment or chemicals, let's say you're in you're I don't know, in a detailing shop, doing body work on automobiles, or you are in a hazardous waste disposal company, or I mean, there are a lot of places where there are hidden dangers that you may not be aware of. So one of the first things you're going to get when you go into a new workplace is they're going to detail all the safety issues that you need to be aware of, right? So a couple things you need to do in order to keep yourself safe at work is, first of all, keep your work area clean, right? And work area extends not just to your desk, but also to the break rooms, the bathrooms, places like that. Don't cause a mess. Don't be a problem, right? Don't don't go into the break room and microwave fish or leave food sitting out on the counter. Um, you know, don't go into the bathroom and do, who knows what in there to cause problems. Okay. Just keep everything clean and tidy and organized. That'll keep people from tripping over things or causing safety issues in the future. Don't use equipment that you're not qualified to operate. If you don't know how to drive a forklift, don't get up into a forklift and try to drive it, right? Don't drive vehicles you don't know how to drive. Don't handle chemicals you're not qualified to handle. Don't use machines that you're not qualified to use. This even includes, if the printer has a paper jam, if you're not qualified to maintain that printer, don't start digging your hands in it. Call IT, that's their job. They will take care of it, right? So keep yourself safe. Also, know what to do in an emergency. Most workplaces have an AED, a defibrillator, somewhere in the office. Know where that is so that if someone collapses, you can use a defibrillator to figure out what's going on with them and possibly, save their life. Learn CPR. CPR is a huge skill you need to learn. Learn how to properly perform the Heimlich maneuver. Know who to call. How do you use the phone? Do we call 911 here? Do we have our own personal medical team on staff? What do we do in an emergency? Understand that, right? Um, What is the evacuation policy of your building? Where do you go? Where do you meet? Who takes accountability? Who's in charge? When an emergency happens, you have to know this stuff because it may not happen. You may never have to use this information, but if you do, you definitely want to know what to do when that situation arises. Um, and if you have any questions or concerns about safety, speak up. Even if it's your first day, right? If you walk into a workspace and it's obviously an unsafe work environment, say something, right? Not only are you going to be, a lot of people don't say anything because they're afraid that people are going to think that they're, you know, kind of not a team player, or they're a narc or whatever. No, say something. If it's an unsafe work environment, if someone's doing something that's going to cause them harm, you need to say something. It shows that you have integrity and it shows that you're competent enough to spot these kinds of mistakes and you're not afraid to point it out when you see it, right? Because the bottom line is safety is it can sometimes be a pain, but safety keeps everyone working. Safety keeps the equipment working, safety keeps people working. And so you need to be vigilant and ask questions and know as much as you can about the safety in the workplace. Organization. So at some point you're going to have a place where you are mainly working, right? A desk or a station where uh, that's your place to work, right? Your work area should be clean and neat. Not only does this help your reputation as a professional, but it also allows you to actually get your work done quicker, right? If you're not constantly looking for documents, I swear I had this on my desk a minute ago. If you're not constantly looking for documents, if you know where everything is, then it allows you to work much faster. Okay, you don't have to panic because I know that memo was here. Where did it go? Um, you don't want your boss to walk by your desk and get an opinion of you as a sloppy or messy person. Um, you want them to think that you're organized. You want them to think that that you're paying attention to how you are being viewed in the office. Okay, attention to detail goes a long way toward building that professional view that you want everyone to have of you. Computers. So, rumor has it that many offices use computers. Oh, fancy that, right? Um, if you know how to use computers, great. If you don't. Or at least learn, right? You're gonna use computers in your workplace. That's just how it is, right? Almost every, I, I can't think of a career these days that does not in some way require knowing how to use a computer. So most computers have, or most offices have computers. They have printers. They have other shared IT devices such as storage servers or things like that. Um, you need to treat those items and those devices with respect, right? That's not your personal computer, okay? Do not do anything that would compromise that computer's integrity. Don't go to risky websites. Don't download files that you know that you don't trust. Don't give out your password or leave your password on a sticky note, stuck to your monitor. You know, practice control, self-control when it comes to working with IT, because I can tell you, it doesn't take much to compromise a corporate network. It really doesn't. And as soon as that network is compromised, everything you do on that network is then compromised. So sensitive information can be spread throughout the internet that you do not want left out, and you don't want to be the guy that caused that problem because you left your password on a sticky note. Um, just don't do it. Okay. If you do have a computer or a printer issue, know who to contact. Okay, don't try to fix these issues on your own. Even if you feel like you know how to do it, don't, right? For the most part, the IT staff is going to have most of these workstations locked down, so you can't do much. Um, but don't even try. Call IT, tell them what's going on. Be clear. Don't be angry. Don't be distracted. Give them the information they need and answer their questions, and they'll usually walk you through how to fix the problem. Um, Again, don't try to fix this stuff on your own. You don't own that computer, right? It's not yours. Someone else owns it, and someone else is responsible for fixing it. Okay. Also, you want to keep your computers free of clutter. You do not want to have your desktop full of files or your personal drive full of files, or it just don't do it. Organize your files properly. Come up with some kind of organizational structure for your computer files so you know where they are, you know how to find them. Organize your email so it's easy to find emails. I know a lot of people that they just save every email that they get, but they don't organize them in a folders or anything like that. And so you just have a long string of emails, and they have to try to search through years and years and years of past emails to find relevant information. Organize your files. Speaking of that, user agreements. So every company and school, yes, UMA does have a user agreement policy. Every company has a detailed computer user agreement. Essentially, before you're allowed to read or use computers, you must read and sign this user agreement. The user agreement details what you are allowed to do on these computers, but more importantly, it details what you're not allowed to do. Looking up naughty stuff you're not supposed to look up, right? Not allowed, right? And these user agreements tell you what you can and cannot do. But once you sign this agreement, you are held accountable for your behavior on these computers. Don't just glance through it and then sign really quickly. Really read that thing to understand what's in it, because you are going to be held accountable. So, does your workplace allow you to send personal emails, pay your bills, shop, watch funny videos, scroll through Reddit, play video games? Computers are great. They can do a lot of stuff, but not every workplace wants you to be wasting your time like that. And usually that is detailed in your computer use agreement. Your computer user agreement. So make sure you read that so you don't break any of these rules on accident. So common forms. Like I said before, it's going to feel like you're signing your life away when you start a new job. You're going to have all kinds of forms to fill out with HR. You're going to have tons of information thrown at you very quickly. Um, there are a lot of forms that you're probably not going to even understand why you're filling it out, but it's important to kind of know what they are. So we're going to talk about a couple of those forms very quickly. First up, the Form I-9. Form I-9 is an employment eligibility verification form. It is mandatory for all employees in the United States of America. This form essentially just verifies that you are legally able to work in the United States. Either you're a United States citizen, or you're here on a work visa, or you have some kind of special disposition that allows you to work in the United States legally. The Immigration and Naturalization Service, INS, uh, sets the rules for the Form I-9. Basically, all employers are required to keep this form on record forever, right? Or at least for as long as you're an employee, and then I think sometime after that. But this is a mandatory form. You must fill this out properly. And this is a government form, right? So you're not allowed to lie on this document. You have to fill this form out properly. You have to fill it out correctly, and you have to fill it out honestly, right? Um, your employer is also going to ask for specific documentation, identification, work visas, whatever, to verify that you're able to work in the United States. Okay, you have to provide that information. They may ask you for a driver's license or birth certificate, or your social security number. Obviously, they're going to need that. So if you don't know your social security number, make sure you get that and you memorize it. Okay, memorize it. Don't write it down. Um, don't put your social security card in your wallet and carry it around with you. Memorize it. Okay, it's not that many digits. You can memorize your social security number. Um, but you're going to need to know your social. You're going to need to have some form of ID showing that you are a resident of the United States, or a work visa that says you can work in the United States. At the bare minimum, that's what they're going to ask for. They may ask for even more than that. You are required by law to give them any documentation that they request, right? You cannot deny that, because, if they say, I need to see your driver's license and your birth certificate, and you say no, then they do not have to employ you, right? You could lose that job. All right, next up, the Form W-4. Form W-4 is the fun form. This is the form where you indicate how much you want them to take out of your paycheck. As an employee living in the United States, you are required by law to pay federal income tax. you will pay your taxes, right? And most people do it in this way. Most people allow their employers to take out a certain amount of their paycheck to pay in taxes so that they don't have to pay it at the end of the year. Basically, employers will withhold a portion of your paycheck. They will pay your tax debt for you with that money that they withhold. And you need to calculate how much tax you want to be withheld from your paycheck. Basically, you, the employee, get to determine how much tax is withheld, right? So you fill out the form W-4 to indicate how much tax you want taken out of your paycheck to pay your tax debt. This form is filed with the IRS, um, and your company will file your withheld tax with the IRS. And so when it's time to file your taxes, you'll know how much money was taken out because your employer will issue you a Form W-2. And this form details how much money you made throughout the year, so you can figure out how much income tax you have to pay at the end of the year, right? So it'll say you made this much money, we withheld this much money, this is your overall, your net. This is how much you've actually made, and this is what your income tax is going to be based on. So keep your W-2, okay? Please, please, please keep your W-2s. Don't just use them to file your taxes and throw them away. Keep them in a safe place. Hold on to them for the rest of your natural life, okay? Once you start working and start making money, it's a good idea to get a fireproof safe. It doesn't have to be a big one, a small fireproof safe where you can keep important documents like your social security card, your birth certificate, marriage certificates whenever you get married, if you get married, and your W-2s and tax forms for every year, right? You want to have all of these things. You want to keep them forever so you do not lose them. If a problem arises in a couple of years and they start auditing you to figure out if you paid the appropriate amount of tax, you need to have those forms on hand so you can prove that you've done the right thing. So let's talk about withholding for a second, because this is a common misconception. People kind of don't know what this means. They just put in a number and then move on. They never really figure out what this means. Basically, the amount of tax that's withheld from your paycheck is going to be calculated by you. It's your responsibility to figure out how much you want them to take out of your check, right? No matter what, you're going to pay the amount of tax. You're going to pay the taxes that you have to pay, whether you pay it throughout the year in small increments with your paycheck, or if you pay it in one lump sum at the end of the year, that's completely up to you, right? And your W-4 is where you indicate that choice. So on the W-4, you indicate your amount of withholding. You can claim your withholding allowances based on your lifestyle. For example, let's say you're in my situation. I'm married and I have 2 children. I'm going to claim fewer allowances so that I get more money in my paycheck. But I do that because my tax burden is less than it would be if I was single and had no dependents, right? I get child tax credits. I get, my tax bracket is different because I'm married, so on and so forth. So I know what my tax burden is going to be every year. I can calculate that. It's a simple math operation. I know how much I'm going to have to pay in taxes. So when I claim my withholding, I look at how much money I'm making, how much money I have to pay in taxes, and I withhold a specific amount so that my tax bill is pretty much zero. I don't get anything back and I don't have to pay anything in. That's an ideal situation. That maximizes the amount of money I get in my paycheck every week, but it also means I don't have to pay anything at the end of the year, right? Um, if you're single with no dependents, then your tax burden is going to be more. You're going to be paying more in taxes. That's just how it works, right? So you may want to withhold more from your paycheck so that your tax burden is less at the end of the year, right? A lot of people, they go in there and they say, you know what, I'm going to withhold a maximum amount. And then they get these huge tax returns at the end of the year. And that may seem like a good idea, but really think about it. That's your money, right? All you're doing is you're giving the government an interest-free loan and you're getting that money back at the end of the year. Why would you do that, right? So you need to understand taxes and how they work. Learn about the tax system in the United States before you fill out your W-4. Okay, there are resources online for you to calculate how much you need to withhold and the proper way to manage your tax situation. Um, Learn that stuff because it's important for being an adult. Okay, all right. Understanding your paycheck. So when you look at your paycheck, you're probably going to be confused because you're going to be thinking, well, but you said I got paid 12 bucks an hour and I worked 10 hours, so I should get $120. Well, that's not how it works, right? Employers withhold tax, they withhold uh, fees, they withhold all kinds of things from your paycheck, right? And you need to know which of these things are valid and which of these things aren't. Some employers make you pay for your own uniform. Some employers make you pay for meals that you've eaten on the job or things like that. You need to know what's appropriate, right? Some common things you'll see in your deductions portion of your pay stub are things like federal income tax, which we just talked about, your state income tax, Medicare, Social Security, unemployment, health insurance, FICA, so on and so on and so on. These are all things that are pretty standard, right? Now, most people don't pay attention to those numbers, but that's a mistake. You want to pay attention to those numbers so you can see what's generally, the average for those things. You want to track those numbers over time. So if, for example, your, I don't know, Social Security tax or Social Security deduction goes way up one week, you need to figure out why, right? That might be an indication that something is going on with your money that you need to be aware of, right? So make sure you understand what deductions are coming from your paycheck and then do the calculation. Check their math. Again, this is your money, right? And if you don't pay attention, no one else is going to. So if if you get a pay stub and the math is off, you need to talk to somebody to figure out why, right? Uh, To be perfectly honest, some businesses employ people that just aren't good at their job. You might have an HR representative who just doesn't do payroll well. You might have an account executive or accountant that just doesn't know how to do it or made a mistake. It could have just been a mistake. You need to calculate your own pay to figure out what is due to you so that you can stand up for yourself. Because again, this is your money, this is your livelihood, right? All right, so in conclusion, that's just a very small amount of the things that you're going to want to pay attention to your first week. It's going to be daunting, it's going to be scary, right? But it's really important that you take control of this stuff. This is adult stuff, right? You need to be an adult and you need to you know, understand what's going on around you, right? Don't get discouraged though. Everyone goes through this and it gets easier as you get older. The more jobs you have, the more comfortable you're going to be starting new ones, right? Here's a tip that I wish someone would have told me when I started working. Save your orientation materials. Put them somewhere safe because your new employee guides or your user agreements, all these stuff, you want to save them so that you can refer to them later if you have a question. Oh, what did they say 4 months ago when I just started working about how to take time off? I don't remember, right? Go into the guide, it's probably in there. So save that stuff, right? And again, find a mentor that you feel comfortable talking to. Okay, these people are there to help you, and they can help you navigate all the different ways of going about things, and they can help you do things properly in this work environment, right? um, Before you know it, you're going to be the person who's been there for 4 or 5 years, and you're going to be showing new employees around and telling them your expertise on how this workplace functions, right? But the first week is scary. Don't let it discourage you, okay? Save your materials, read everything, understand what you're signing, okay? And be safe. All right, that's it for me. I'm going to end it here. Um, you know, really dig into the materials I'm giving you for reference this week. There's a lot of good stuff in there. Um, take this stuff seriously because this is something you're actually going to deal with at some point in your life if you haven't dealt with it already. All right, I'm going to leave you here. I will see you next time. Thanks for paying attention, and bye.